Welcome to the Stoic Tide. Someone is afraid of you now, and they can't explain why. It's not your voice. It's not your attitude. It's not even something you did. It's the new version of you they didn't see coming. People can sense when you outgrow the role they tried to keep you in. They can feel it the moment you stop reacting. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop giving them the emotional access they once controlled. Your calm starts to intimidate them. Your silence makes them overthink. Your boundaries make them nervous. And your growth exposes every insecurity they've been hiding behind confidence. You didn't confront them. You didn't expose them. You didn't even speak. But something shifted inside you, and they felt it before you did. This message is about that shift, because right now, someone who once underestimated you is quietly afraid. Not afraid of your anger, but afraid of your clarity. Not afraid of losing you, but afraid of losing control over the version of you they took for granted. Not afraid of your presence, but afraid of what your new silence says about your self-worth. In this video, we're going to break down exactly why someone is suddenly uncomfortable, distant, or strangely reactive, and why that fear is the clearest sign that you're stepping into a stronger, calmer, more powerful chapter of your life. Stay with me because what you're about to discover will change the way you see yourself, your relationships, and your future. People don't fear your strength, they fear your shift. The moment you stop explaining yourself, something inside them changes. Because for the first time, they no longer have access to your emotional reactions, the very fuel they use to measure their power over you. Most people aren't afraid of losing someone. They're afraid of losing the version of that person they could control. And that's exactly what happened with you. You stopped giving long explanations. You stopped over-apologizing. You stopped defending your intentions. You stopped trying to prove your worth to people who never deserved a seat at your table. That silence, that calm detachment is what terrifies them. Because explaining yourself was their leverage. Every time you justified your feelings, they collected information. Every time you defended your decisions, they took notes. Every time you reacted demonly, they learned your weak spots. You weren't communicating. You were exposing yourself. But now you've gone quiet, and that quiet feels like power. You've shifted into a version of yourself that's harder to read, harder to predict, harder to manipulate. A version that doesn't need permission, approval, or validation. And deep down, they know exactly what it means. They can't influence your emotions anymore. They can't push your buttons anymore. They can't guilt trip you, bait you, or pull you back into the same conversations that once drained you. You left their entire playbook useless. People fear what they can't understand. And right now, they don't understand you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know whether they still matter to you or not. And uncertainty is the greatest fear of insecure people. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't make a dramatic exit. You didn't expose their behavior. You didn't even ask for closure. You simply stopped explaining yourself. And that was enough to shift the entire dynamic. This is the essence of emotional intelligence. Responding with clarity instead of chaos. Boundaries instead of emotional leakage. And silence instead of self-betrayal. Stoics understood this long before a psychology named it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And your thoughts have changed. They're calmer, clearer, stronger. Your silence shows that you're no longer living in reaction to other people's expectations. And people who once fed off your confusion can feel that something powerful is happening inside you. The fear they feel, it's not about you hurting them. It's about you outgrowing them. They're not afraid of losing you. They're afraid of no longer being able to shape you. This is where your transformation truly begins. People don't fear loud voices. They fear quiet people who finally see the truth. Your calm is unsettling to them, because it reveals something they've been trying to hide, their own internal chaos. When you were reactive, emotional, or defensive, it distracted them from having to face themselves. Your noise covered their flaws. But now that you've shifted into a calmer, more grounded version of yourself, the contrast is undeniable. Your peace exposes their instability. Your clarity exposes their confusion. Your discipline exposes their lack of control. And nothing scares a chaotic person more than someone who is no longer participating in the chaos. The moment you stopped playing their game, the mirror turned back onto them. Suddenly, their behavior looks loud, immature, manipulative, insecure. They can't hide behind the drama anymore, because you're not feeding it. This is why your calm terra feastum. Your calm forces accountability. Your calm forces reflection. Your calm forces truth. People who avoid self-awareness will always fear the person who has gained it. You're not arguing with them. You're not justifying your soul. You're not matching their energy. You're not explaining what they did wrong. You're simply responding with emotional intelligence. And that alone becomes confrontation, because silence is not the absence of communication. Silence is uncomfortable clarity, and clarity threatens anyone whose power depended on your confusion. Most people never confront their own darkness until someone stops reacting to it. When you ditch emotionally, they suddenly have to deal with the very insecurities they tried to project onto you. Your calm is revealing the truth they tried to avoid. It reveals who they are without your emotional energy to hide behind. It reveals how little control they actually had. It reveals how much you've grown and how much they haven't. But here's what hits them the hardest. Your calm is not weakness, it's evolution. It signals that you're no longer walking into every battle. You're no longer explaining every boundary. You're no longer engaging with every argument. You're no longer allowing your emotions to be a playground for other people's insecurity. You're moving from reaction to intention. And that shift is threatening because it makes you unpredictable in their world. The person who can't be provoked is the most powerful person in the room. Stoics lived by this. Epictetus said no man is free who is not master of himself, and right now your self-mastery is exposing the lack of mastery in others. They are afraid because you're calm in moments where you used to break. You're quiet in moments where you used to defend. You're peaceful in moments where you used to bleed emotionally. That kind of growth demands respect even from the people who fear it. Fear is born from uncertainty. And nothing creates more uncertainty than a person who becomes unreadable. For a long time, people around you could predict your reactions. They knew what would upset you. They knew what topics would make you emotional. They knew what tone would provoke you. They knew your patterns, your vulnerabilities, your triggers. But something changed. You stopped giving them the emotional visibility they once relied on. You stopped giving immediate reactions. You stopped explaining your every move. You stopped revealing your insecurities through your responses. You stopped narrating your entire inner world out loud. And suddenly they can't read you anymore. That terrifies them. People feel safe when they can decode you. They feel powerful when they understand your emotions. They feel in control when they can predict your next move. But when you become quieter, wiser, more selective, more observant, their confidence collapses. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know whether you're done with them or simply outgrowing them. Your silence becomes a psychological fog they can't navigate. And here's the truth. When someone can't read you anymore, they will imagine the worst. This is where their fear grows. They think you're planning something. They think you've figured them out. They think you're preparing to walk away. They think you see their flaws. They think you know more than you're saying. Your silence activates their paranoia, not because you're being mysterious, but because they relied too heavily on having access to your mind. Self-mastery removes that access. Remember, people fear what they can't control. But even more than that, they fear what they can't predict. When you become unreadable, you become uncontrollable. And at a psychological level, that shifts the power dynamic completely. Now you set the pace. You choose when to speak. You decide what information gets shared. You determine how much access they receive. You hold the advantage they once held over you. This is emotional intelligence at its highest level. Not reactive, but responsive, not impulsive, but intentional. Stoicism teaches this form of quiet dominance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." And your evolution reflects exactly that. You didn't become cold. You became disciplined. You didn't become distant. You became discerning. You didn't become defensive. You became unreadable and therefore manipulable. Their fear is not a sign that you've turned into a threat. Their fear is a sign that you've grown beyond the reach of their influence. You no longer broadcast your thoughts. You no longer leak your emotions. You no longer reveal your plans. You no longer give people the cheat codes to your mind. And when someone loses their ability to read you, they lose their ability to control you. That is why they're afraid. Now, there's a specific kind of fear that hits people when they realize you no longer need them. Not emotionally, not mentally, not spiritually. And that's exactly what someone is feeling about you right now. Before, they were used to having a certain importance in your life. They believed their opinions shaped your choices. They assumed their approval mattered to you. They thought their presence influenced your self-worth. They believed you would always come back, always explain, always seek reassurance, always depend on them in some way. But no, you've stepped into a version of yourself that stands on its own feet. You're making decisions without asking for permission. You're finding peace without their validation. You're growing without their support. You're healing without their guidance. You're thriving without their involvement. And nothing terrifies an insecure person more than realizing they are no longer essential. Because their power over you was never rooted in love. It was rooted in your dependence. When you depended on their approval, they felt strong. When you depended on their reactions, they felt relevant. When you depended on their attention, they felt important. Your growth didn't just free you, it exposed them. It showed that their importance was never real. It was never mutual. It was never balanced. It was simply the consequence of you not knowing your own worth yet. But now you do, and the moment you learned to stand alone, they began to fear being left behind. Not because they miss you, but because they no longer have influence in your story. Your independence scares them because it means they can't manipulate your insecurities. They can't guilt trip you into staying. They can't use silence or distance as punishment. They can't play emotional games. They can't control how you see yourself. You've taken back everything they once used to keep you small. Even worse for them, you're not angry. You're not bitter. You're not seeking revenge. You're simply unavailable. That's the part that breaks them. If you were fighting, arguing, seeking closure, demanding answers, they could still feel important. But your emotional neutrality communicates something far more threatening. I don't need you to. People will crave control. That sentence is devastating even when it's unspoken. Stoic wisdom teaches that self-reliance is the foundation of inner power. Epictetus said, "No man is truly free until he needs nothing from another." And that's exactly the chapter you're stepping into. Your emotional independence reveals their emotional limitory. Your stability reveals their instability. Your self-worth reveals their insecurity. Your freedom reveals their limitations. They're not afraid of losing you. They're afraid of becoming irrelevant to someone who once needed them. Your independence didn't just change you, it changed the entire power dynamic. There is nothing more frightening to someone with hidden intentions than being seen clearly without confrontation, without accusations, without drama. And that's exactly what's happening now. You've reached a level of emotional intelligence where you don't need people to confess who they are. You don't need proof. You don't need explanations. You don't need them to admit what I've done. You simply see it. You recognize the manipulation disguised as kindness. You notice the jealousy behind the compliments. You catch the envy hidden in their silence. You sense the resentment behind their passive-aggressive tone. You identify the insecurity behind their criticism. Your intuition sharpened quietly. Your perception expanded naturally, and your discernment became something they can't outrun anymore. And the moment they realized you see them, really see them, fear began. People are comfortable when you see their surface. People panic when you see their intentions, because your awareness exposes everything they tried to hide. Their motives, their inconsistencies, their manipulation patterns, their jealousy, their entitlement, their emotional immaturity. And the part that scares them most, you're not reacting. You're not calling them out. You're not fighting. You're not arguing. You're not trying to fix them. You're not trying to negotiate who they are. You simply adjusted your distance silently, respectfully, decisively. Your calm observation is more threatening than any confrontation could ever be, because confrontation gives them something to push against. But silence forces them to sit with their own reflection. They don't know what you know. They don't know how much you've figured out. They don't know what you've realized about them. They don't know how deeply your perception cuts now. You've become unreadable, but they've become fully exposed. And that terrifies them, because when someone realizes you've seen their true character, they know the dynamics have changed permanently. They know they can't manipulate you anymore. They know they can't deceive you as easily. They know they can't hide behind charm, guilt, or excuses. They know their old tactics won't work on you again. This is silent power. This is psychological boundaries at the highest level. You haven't raised your voice. You haven't confronted them. You haven't thrown anything in their face. You haven't sought revenge. You simply see their truth and withdrew your emotional access. Stoicism teaches that clarity is earned in stillness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You can't hide what's in your soul," and your stillness made their soul impossible to disguise. Your intuition became a shield. Your awareness became armor. Your silence became a mirror they cannot escape. They are afraid now because you're no longer fooled. You're no longer blind. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer available to be used. You see them and they know it. There comes a moment in every chosen person's journey when the emotional strings others use to pull simply detach, not loudly, not dramatically, silently. Finally, that moment just happened for you and they felt it instantly. Once upon a time, you reacted. You explained yourself. You defended yourself. You tried to fix misunderstandings. You tried to earn clarity. You tried to prove your intentions. But not anymore. Your emotional landscape has changed. You don't respond from insecurity now. You respond from inner peace. You don't react from fear. You respond from clarity. You don't get pulled into chaos. You stay rooted in self-worth. And this shift unsettles people who relied on your old version to maintain control. They depended on your compassion, your need to make things right, your tendency to over-explain, your desire to avoid conflict, your sensitivity to rejection, your fear of letting people down. But all of that evaporated the moment you reclaimed your emotional sovereignty. Now you're calm. Now you're detached. Now you're measured. Now you're wise. Now you're strategic. Nothing exposes someone's manipulation like your lack of reaction. And that's why they're afraid. Because emotional detachment means they can't guilt trip you anymore. They can't lure you back with nostalgia. They can't bait you into arguments. They can't drag you into their chaos. They can't use silence to punish you. They can't use anger to control you. They can't use tears to manipulate you. They can't use attention to hook you. You became emotionally untouchable, and manipulators fear people they can't provoke. This is where your quiet strength shines. You no longer respond immediately. You observe. You no longer act impulsively. You evaluate. You no longer get triggered. You get curious. You no longer let emotions lead you. Let wisdom speak first. People who operate from insecurity don't know how to handle someone who operates from emotional intelligence. Your calm is intimidating. Your silence is unsettling. Your distance is confusing. Your steadiness is threatening. Because emotional maturity is a mirror, and it reflects their chaos back to them. That's why they shift around you. That's why their tone changes. That's why they second-guess their next move. That's why they keep watching you quietly, studying you, trying to predict your reactions, but failing every time. You're no longer the person they could emotionally manipulate at will. You've evolved. Stoicism teaches that true power is self-governance, and you've mastered it. Your emotions now serve you, instead of sabotaging you. Your calm is now a weapon. Your inner peace is now a fortress. Your emotional boundaries reno a shield they can't penetrate. They're afraid because you've become everything they can't control. And nothing threatens insecure people more than someone they can no longer trigger. There's a specific kind of fear that appears in people the moment they realize you see them clearly now. Not their excuses, not their performance, not their curated persona, but them, their motives, their ego, their insecurity, their hidden patterns. You used to give people the benefit of the doubt, used to assume the best, you used to overlook red flags out of empathy. Used to justify behavior that didn't deserve your compassion. But something shifted. Life refined your intuition. Pain sharpened your perception. Distance strengthened your discernment. Silence upgraded your psychological bonder. And now your eyes tell the truth before your words do. Catastrophize them because they used to rely on your innocence, your softness, your willingness to explain their behavior for them. Your desire to maintain peace even at the cost of your own clarity. But you're no longer blind. You're no longer naive. You're no longer accessible in the same emotional way. You're no longer someone they can manipulate with half-truths and selective honesty. You see the micro-shifts in their tone, the inconsistency between their words and actions, the envy behind their compliments, the guilt behind their silence, the fear behind their anger, the intentions behind their sudden kindness, the insecurity hidden inside their criticism. This is not paranoia. This is evolution. This is emotional intelligence in its highest form. And insecure people can't hide from someone who has awakened their intuition. You stopped reacting to what they said. You started responding to what they meant. You stopped believing their excuses. You started reading their patterns. You stopped being impressed by their charm. You started noticing their motives. You stopped absorbing their projection. You started watching their behavior. And that ability to see behind the curtain makes them uncomfortable. They can feel your intuition even when you don't speak it. They can sense that you pick up what they try to hide. They know they can't lie as easily. They know they can't manipulate the narrative anymore. They know they can't rewrite history in front of you. They know they can't pretend to be someone they're not. Your presence became a mirror, and they don't like what they see reflected back. This is why people suddenly avoid eye contact, grow distant, correct their behavior around you, speak more carefully, get defensive when you haven't accused them, feel exposed with explanation, act uncomfortable around your rose, silence. It's not because you attack them. It's because your awareness confronts their hidden truth. This is the power of someone who has survived betrayal, heartbreak, and disappointment. You develop X-ray vision for souls. Stoicism teaches that clarity is a form of freedom. And now that you're clear, you can no longer be controlled. That clarity scares them because they know you finally see who they've always been and who you are now becoming. Fear doesn't appear when you change a little. Fear appears when you change so much that people no longer know how to deal with you. The truth is simple. Someone is afraid of you now because you're no longer the version they could predict, guilt trip, or emotionally control. They counted on the old you, the one who over-explained, over-aired, overgave, and overlooked everything. But that version of you no longer exists. And the moment they sensed it, the moment they realized your spirit, your mindset, your emotional boundaries had shifted, they panicked. They don't fear your anger. They fear your evolution because your evolution changed the entire psychological dynamic between you and them. You stopped responding to emotional bait they used to poke your emotions and get a reaction. They called trigger guilt, confusion, self-doubt, or anxiety, and you would fall right into the trap. But now, you don't resettle the bait. You don't fight small battles. You don't waste energy explaining the truth to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your silence dismantles their strategy. Your calm exposes their chaos. That shift alone terrifies them, because people who depended on your emotional vulnerability know what to do. When you grow emotionally intelligent, you no longer play the role they assigned you. In their mind, they had you locked into a box. The forgiving one, the understanding one, the quiet one, the loyal one, the one who tolerated disrespect, the one who kept the peace at any cost. But life has forced you to grow past that character. You've evolved into someone stronger, wiser, and more self-respecting. You now refuse to fit into roles written by other people. And nothing scares controlling personalities more than someone who steps out of the script. Because the moment you stop performing the version of you they expected, their power dissolves. Your detachment took away their influence. They were comfortable when you were emotionally attached. People can manipulate you when your heart is deed to them. But now you've learned the Stoic art of healthy detachment. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't prove that. You don't defend yourself against lies. You don't try to fix broken connections. You don't justify your worth anymore. This detachment creates a psychological shift. They lost access to the emotional version of you that made them feel powerful. When you stopped needing their validation, they started fearing your independence. You're operating from inner peace, not pain. The old you reacted from wounds. The new you responds from wisdom. The old you took things personally. The new you sees them for what they are: projections, insecurities, and internal battles that have nothing to do with you. The old you needed closure. The new you creates closure internally. The old you feared losing people. The new you fears losing yourself. And this transition into inner peace, real unshakable inner peace, makes them deeply uncomfortable. Why? Because inner peace cannot be manipulated. And someone who can't be manipulated is someone they can't control. Your boundaries are finally real. You always had a good heart, but now you have psychological boundaries to protect that heart. When you say no without guilt, walk away from disrespect, enforce consequences, refuse to be guilt-tripped, value your time and energy. Stop overgiving. Stop explaining yourself. You become someone who is difficult to exploit. And people who benefited from the boundaryless version of you now fear the upgraded version. Not because you became a cold, but because you finally became self-respecting. You have a new aura, a different energy. People can feel when you level up. It changes how you walk, how you listen, how you speak, how you carry yourself. Your silence is heavier. Your presence is sharper. Your intuition is stronger. Your standards are higher. You radiate emotional intelligence, spiritual discipline, and quiet confidence. And that energy exposes who is insecure, guilty, manipulative, or secretly competitive. You didn't threaten anyone. You didn't confront anyone. You didn't expose anyone. Your growth did, and growth is one thing they cannot fight. Your evolution is their fear. Your transformation is their discomfort. Your new chapter is their loss of control. They're not afraid of you. They're afraid of what you're becoming. Someone powerful, grounded, untouchable, and completely out of their reach. There is a moment in every transformation where silence stops being a weakness and becomes a weapon. Not a weapon used to hurt others, but a weapon that destroys illusions, ego, manipulation, and false narratives. Your silence used to mean confusion, hurt, avoidance, emotional shutdown. But know your silence carries clarity. Your silence carries strength. Your silence carries self-respect. Your silence carries psychological elevation. And that shift, that silent power terrifies the very people who once depended on your reactions. Your silence forces them to face themselves. When you stop explaining your soul, people must confront the truth without your help. When you stop defending yourself, they must sit with their guilt. When you stop reacting, they must deal with the consequences of their own behavior. Your silence became a mirror, a spotlight, a truth serum, a psychological pressure, a spiritual boundary. People who have something to hide always fear a person who has nothing to say, because your silence reveals everything their words tried to cover. Your silence makes you unpredictable. Manipulators depend on predictability. They study your reactions. They map out your emotions. They use your patterns against you. But the moment you became silent, calm, unreadable, unbothered, you broke their psychological formula. Now they don't know what you're thinking, what you visualized, what you're planning, what you saw, what you won't tolerate, how much of their behavior you've decoded. Your silence created a mystery. Mystery creates fear. Fear creates distance. That's why they're watching you more closely than ever. Your silence signals that you're done explaining. The old you tried to fix misunderstandings. The old you tried to prove your intentions. The old you sought fairness and clarity. The old you believed that honesty could redeem every situation. But the new you knows better. You stopped wasting breath on people who already made up their minds. You stopped arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped chasing closure from people who never gave you honesty. You stopped watering dead relationships. Your silence is your boundary. Your silence is your exit. Your silence is your emotional contract ending without negotiation. And people fear losing the access they once abused. Your silence removed their power over you. They used to feed off your reactions, your explanations, your anger, your fear, your overthinking, your emotional investment. Without your reactions, they feel powerless. You didn't fight them. You didn't attack them. You didn't expose them. You simply took your energy back, and the power dynamic collapsed when your silence says, "I'm not emotionally available for this." Their ego crumbles because they were never afraid of losing you. They were afraid of losing control over you. Your silence shows that you're operating from inner peace. Nothing is more intimidating than a person who chooses peace over drama. Means it. A calm person cannot be controlled. A grounded person cannot be manipulated. A self-aware person cannot be deceived. Your silence is no longer emotional shutdown. It is emotional mastery. It means your self-worth is internal. Your clarity is intact. Your boundaries are restable. Your intuition is leading. Your mind is disciplined. Your spirit is anchored. It means you've switched from survival mode to strategy mode. And they know how to respond to a version of you that outgrew their influence. Your silence is a language they can't manipulate. People can twist your words. People can misinterpret your emotions. People can rewrite conversations, but they cannot manipulate silence. Silence leaves no breadcrumbs for them to twist. Silence leaves nothing for them to argue with. Silence leaves them face to face with their own behavior. Your silence became a truth they can't escape. It makes them rethink. It makes them restless. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them fearful. Because silence in the hands of a self-aware person is not absence. It is authority. Someone is afraid of you now, not because you're loud, not because you're angry, not because you're confrontational, but because your silence reveals who they are and who you are finally becoming. There comes a moment in every person's life where the internal shift becomes too powerful to hide. A moment where your spiritual growth, emotional discipline, and psychological boundaries become visible in your aura, your presence, and even the way you breathe. Someone is afraid of you now, not because you've become dangerous, but because you've become aligned with your worth, aligned with your truth, aligned with your mission, aligned with a higher level of self-mastery. And alignment scares people who benefited from your confusion. In this final chapter, you need to understand the deepest reason they fear you. You finally became the version of yourself they hoped would never emerge. You stepped into a higher identity. Every excellent transformation has a breaking point. The moment where you stop operating from pain and start operating from purpose. That's what happened to you. You stepped out of the identity built by trauma, expectations, guilt, and old stories, and stepped into an identity built on clarity, confidence, and emotional intelligence. Your identity used to be shaped by your connections. Now your identity is shaped by your convictions. They don't recognize this version of you, and that unfamiliarity creates fear. You stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. You used to dim yourself, to keep the peace, to avoid jealousy, to protect fragile egos, to avoid being judged, to avoid standing out, to avoid hurting people who didn't value you. But that era is gone. You no longer shrink. You no longer silence your intuition. You no longer suppress your intelligence. You no longer hide your glow. And the moment you stopped minimizing yourself, their insecurities started screaming back. As insecure people feel threatened when someone they could once overlook suddenly stands tall. Your presence now reveals their absence when you show up as your highest self. Their lack of growth becomes more obvious. Your discipline highlights their inconsistency. Your self-worth exposes their dependency and validation. Your emotional maturity reveals their avoidance. Your inner peace confronts their inner chaos. Your strength doesn't humiliate them. Their own stagnation does. And sometimes people fear you simply because you remind them of everything they are running away from. You no longer stay where you're not valued. This is one of the most intimidating shifts of all. Used to fight to be understood. Now you protect your peace. You used to settle for crumbs of respect. Now you require consistency. You used to stay where you were tolerated. Now you walk away where you are not respected. And that's when people fear losing you. Not because they cherish you, but because they never thought you would outgrow their version of you. Your ability to leave with silence, not anger, unsettles them deeply. You became immune to their old tactics. Guilt doesn't work anymore. Manipulation didn't work anymore. Silent treatment doesn't work anymore. Confusion doesn't work anymore. Emotional pressure doesn't work anymore. Because you now see the pattern. You know the script. You understand the psychology. You recognize the energy. You've lived the lesson. They fear you because they can no longer influence you the way they once did. You become emotionally untouchable. You carry a different frequency. No people can say whatever they want, but energy never lies. You carry quiet confidence, grounded presence, sharpened intuition, boundaries backed by self-worth, inner peace that doesn't shake, resilience shaped by pain, emotional intelligence earned through experience, spiritual discipline that keeps you steady. That frequency makes people with hidden motives uncomfortable. It makes insecure people defensive. It makes manipulative people powerless. It makes jealous people silent. It makes dishonest people avoid you. Your energy speaks truths. Your mouth doesn't have to. You finally realize you don't need them anymore. This is the deepest fear of all. They're afraid because they can feel it in your eyes, in your voice, in your silence. You're not attached to them. You're aligned with something bigger. And when a person is no longer attached to the wrong things, they become unstoppable. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't explain. You don't seek approval. You don't lose yourself to keep people around. You choose peace over chaos. You choose boundaries over drama. You choose self-worth over validation. You choose purpose over attachment. And that shift makes you a powerful, unpredictable force. Final truth. Someone is afraid of you now. Not because you've changed into someone dangerous, but because you've changed into someone awake, aware, self-respecting, unavailable for manipulation, and fully aligned with your highest identity. This fear is not your burden. It's your confirmation. You're rising. You're evolving. You're stepping into the chapter you were always meant to live. And the people who once underestimated you are finally realizing the truth. They didn't lose you. They lost access to the version of you that made them feel superior. And now they're afraid not of your power, but of what your power reveals about them. Chosen one, if you've listened this far, then your spirit has already confirmed what your mind is only beginning to understand. You are not who you used to be. You've crossed a threshold. You've stepped into a higher frequency. You've grown into a version of yourself that fearlessly guards their peace, honors their calling, and moves with the kind of quiet confidence that makes insecure souls tremble. They're not afraid of your past. They're afraid of your future. They're afraid of the clarity in your eyes. They're afraid of strength in your silence. They're afraid of the boundaries they never thought you'd have the courage to set. Your growth is shaking rooms you haven't even entered yet. Your resilience is exposing intentions that can no longer hide. Your elevation is revealing what was never meant to rise with you. And now the truth stands tall. You didn't become intimidating. You became undeniable. So hear me when I say this. Keep walking. Keep rising. Keep protecting your spirit with the discipline of a warrior and the serenity of a sage. Your next chapter doesn't require their approval, only your alignment. Heaven has already stamped your path. Your destiny is in motion, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop what's unfolding in your life. If this message awakened something in you, if it confirmed what your soul has been whispering for weeks, if it reminded you of who you truly are, then don't leave this moment without declaring it. Comment below. I choose silence. I choose strength. One, choose my rise. Let the world see the beginning of your next chapter. And if you're walking this journey of self-mastery with us, hit like, subscribe the Stoic Tide, and turn on the bell, because the next videos we're releasing will reshape how you think, how you move, and how you protect your peace at the highest level. This is your season. Your rise is in motion, and the ones who doubted you are about to watch the glow they never believed you'd step into. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay powerful, stay blessed.